Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intentional Productivity Tips. I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner, and I want to thank you for joining me today to talk about your productivity. Today, I am excited. We are wrapping up a 4-part series talking about productivity preferences. So today, it's going to bring all of the last 3 weeks together so you can identify how to find your productivity preferences. Superheroes are involved, and then how you can build habits, processes, your mindset, and systems to support them. But first, you are watching me on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel, and I want to thank you for watching me. I want to thank you for taking time to be intentional with your productivity. Also, I have an ask. If you would consider to please like, subscribe, and even be notified when new episodes drop, we can continue this productivity journey together. As I said, today we are talking about the 4th part of our productivity series, that is unleashing your superpower and learning your productivity preferences. So as we know, this is the 4th series, which means I'm going to stop saying that, I promise you, which means we have had 3 prior episodes where we have again talked about getting to know you, getting to know your productivity. So today we're going to wrap it up and bring it all together. We are going to talk about 3 things. We are going to understand your productivity superhero and the situation capes you wear. What does that mean? We're going to get into some specifics. Then we're going to talk about your superhero habits, processes, tools, and mindset. And third, we're going to talk about your next mission, how to take action and make your productivity preferences work for you. Because let's be honest, that's what it's all about. So let's get productive with today's episode and talk about productivity preferences. What are productivity preferences and why am I talking about it for 4 episodes? When we think about it, again, I say this all the time and I 100% mean it. Productivity is personal. Whether you thrive with structure or flow or a mix of both, understanding your style helps you reduce stress, boost creativity, and make getting things done more enjoyable. Who doesn't want some of that in their lives? By aligning your tools and habits with your productivity preferences, you can streamline repetitive tasks, save energy, and focus most on what matters. One of the reasons this is so important is because we have identified, and one statistic I like to throw out when it comes to building productivity preferences and habits is there have been studies done that show that we spend about 45% of our day doing repetitive tasks. So that's about 10 to 11 hours. And so if we know we're going to be repeating and doing the same things over, what if we make it easier that works for us? So this is part of why we want to get to know our productivity preferences, because it lets us know how we operate. Right? If I was talking to my consultants, if I was talking about this to some of my tech world, if I was talking about some of this to some of the people who work in development, software development, and even cyber and network security, one of the things that I would tell them is our productivity is our operating system, right? The preferences that we have is our wireframe. And so getting to know these are important. One of the other reasons I like this and want to talk about it today is because we also have productivity superheroes. As I've mentioned, and in the comments below on week 1, we actually learned about 3 productivity superheroes. And on week 1, there's a quiz where you can identify your productivity superhero. The link to that is in the comments if you want to take that. But the first thing that we want to do is we want to meet, who is my productivity superhero? There are 3 I'm going to introduce you to. There is Stewie Structure, there is Fantasia Flow, and Lulu Bit of Both. Let's talk about Stewie for a minute. Stewie Structure thrives when there is organization and accountability. Stewie wants to know what's going on. Stewie wants to plan their day out. They want to know what they're going to be doing tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Stewie likes to have control of things because Stewie knows when things are organizing, Stewie can work on working, doesn't have to worry about finding things or figuring it out, right? Stewie loves some structure. And let's be honest, we all need some Stewies in our life. Do you know a Stewie? Are you Stewie? The next superhero that we want to meet is Fantasia Flow. Now, Fantasia likes to have some structure, but Fantasia doesn't want to be too structured because Fantasia prefers some flow. Fantasia doesn't want to be told what to do and when to do it. Fantasia wants to be able to identify and work on their energy and their flow in the day and what's going right. And that's okay. Do you know a Fantasia? I do. The third productivity superhero we have is Lulu Bit of Both. And Lulu is a combination of both. Lulu knows there's sometimes when Stewie structure needs to happen in that organization system. And there's sometimes when Lulu knows I need to be in my flow. I can't be doing things just so organized, right? Do you know Lulu? Is that you? So once we begin to know and begin to identify, right, our personalities, we also can say, we know we've got a productivity superhero. We also know productivity isn't a straight line. Productivity can be more complex in our lives. So it's not as straightforward as saying, I am always Stewie Structure, I am always Fantasia Flow, or Lulu Bit of Both is where I live, right? One of the things that we know in productivity, and I like to call them situationships. So with productivity, we have our relationship with different situations. So while we have our productivity superhero, there are also capes that we wear for our productivity situationships. That begins to let us know a little bit more about ourselves, right? When I took the quiz, I've known for quite a while that I am Fantasia Flow, right? I know that's my productivity superhero. But when I delve into productivity situationships, I begin to identify I actually wear multiple capes, and my cape is depending on that situation. Let's look, just begin to think about what I'm talking about, right? When you think about it, not every task needs a cape, but knowing which one to wear, now that's your superpower, right? So we have tasks, for example, how do you like to organize and deal with your calendar? How do you like to organize and deal with your email? How do you plan and organize working out, going to the gym? How do you track priorities? How do you organize your drives, whether it be Google, OneDrive, Microsoft, blah, 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 drive? What? The question is, how do you like to organize your drive? What about a daily process? What about meal planning? If we start to break down and look at our productivity situationships, we can say, okay, what is the cape that I'm going to wear there? Now, as I have been pretty open, I am Fantasia Flow. Nice to meet you. I am Fantasia. But that's my superhero and superpower. But when it comes to some situations, I actually am not just wearing Fantasia's. I'm not just wearing Fantasia's cape. And this is some things that I've learned about myself that have surprised me and my clients. There are times when my clients will say, I am this way. And I'm like, yes, you are, except for this time, right? So for example, I am, when it comes to my schedule and my priorities, how I plan and pick up my schedule and priorities, very Fantasia Flow, right? That's how I build it. When it comes to my calendar, though, I will say I am Stewie Structure like nobody's business. I like to have my calendar color coded. I like to have it blocking things out. I am very, very specific, right? So this is why we want to look at what are our productivity situationships and what cape do we wear in that moment. Because getting to know ourselves and understanding our superhero powers and the capes we wear is going to help us to design our productivity habits, systems, processes, and impact our mindset, right? It's important that we start putting our productivity preferences together. Over the past weeks, we've been talking about different elements of this, but one of my goals has been to make you think, to spark some interest. Maybe when you heard me talk about how over obsessed and extra I am with my calendar, maybe you're like, hey, that is what I want too, right? I know the reason my habit and my systems for my calendaring are because how I'm going to use it. So the question is, how can we do the same for you, right? When we think about it, if we understand our productivity preferences, when we're building our habits, we'll begin to know what works for us and what drives us crazy. What is going to absolutely backfire? What happens with our mindset? Because we know whether people are comfortable talking about it, our mindset directly impacts our productivity. Check that. Our mindset directly impacts our productivity. We all know this. You've had a day, so have I. I've had a day, I call it my meh day. I'm just feeling meh. In my meh days, it takes a lot more energy to get things done. So I know that if my productivity mindset and I'm aware of it, then I know I'm going to have meh days. We all do. What am I going to do? So part of what I do is I design my systems and my habits or processes around that. I know I want to be prepared for my mindset. One, I want to be realistic. Two, I want to be honest. I want to know what I need to finish right now. It's okay to say, I am honestly not having the best day right now. I am kind of blah. It's reality. Sometimes in deadlines and projects don't allow for that. We just have to get done what we have to get done. We all understand that. But there's sometimes when we can adjust. Last week, I had a day where I was feeling that way, and I was supposed to be working on creative projects all day. When I started working on it, I just wasn't feeling it, right? So I switched because I knew my mindset is so important in productivity. Same thing we can say for the processes that we set up. By understanding our productivity preferences, we can say, I know this is a process I'm going to follow. I know my system is going to match me. One of the things that I find most fascinating when I'm working with clients is I can kind of see how they're doing based on how they open up and start working with their systems, right? So for example, with most of my clients, we start with their daily process and we look at their daily process. And if they are not into or vibing with their daily process, they're not, it's kind of, have you had this feeling? You open your screen and you're like, I'm going to log on. Oh no, I'll just go to Facebook instead. Or, oh, maybe I'll look here instead. Or maybe I'll shop instead. You know what I'm saying? We want to be aware of those feelings that we're feeling and those hesitations because they teach us what we need to do. So let's look at it, right? Let's break this down just a little bit. So if I'm saying knowing our superhero preferences is going to help with our productivity, let's look specifically at it. So let's look at how can we help our habits by knowing our productivity preference, our productivity superhero. Well, we're able to align our daily actions with our productivity preferences, right? So for example, if we are a STEWI structure and we're talking about our daily habits and we're talking about our daily process, and that daily process, remember, our daily process is what's that list of all the stuff and things we need to touch each day? What are all the emails? What are all the voicemail? If we have voicemails, what are all the CRMs? What are all the tools? What are all the places we need to check? What are all the calendars, right? We know we have things we need to check every day. A daily process is the best place to say, here's all the things we need to do. Then based on our productivity preferences, this is how we're going to implement our daily process, right? The preferences comes once we're going to implement it because we all have the same things we need to identify. So when we know our habits and we know our preference, if I know I'm STEWI structure and I'm talking about my daily process, my STEWI structure clients are like, okay, I'm going to do my daily process at 8:00. I'm going to do it at 10:00. I'm going to do it during this time. Why? Because it keeps us focused and organized. If I'm Fantasia Flow, I'm going to say, here's what I need to do. I'm not necessarily going to timestamp it, but when I know what the day is going to bring in the flow of the day, then I'm going to identify it. Or we could say we're a little bit of both, right? I need some structure, but I also need some flow. Again, if we're looking at how are we building our habits, specifically a habit of building your daily process, by beginning to understand if I need structure, flow, or a little bit of both, we're able to implement that habit into our life. We can also do this when we think of processes, right? So, for example, a process might be, how do we prioritize? How do we organize our tasks? How do we know what to work on when? Again, we all need to do it. It doesn't matter if I'm a Stewie, a Fantasia, or Lulu, bit of both. Once we identify what our priorities and and our tasks are, we can again use our superhero productivity preferences to say, okay, now I've got my tasks and I've got my priorities in order. We know if we're Stewie, the action is we want to add more detail. We want to add more information. How long is it going to take? What is it that I'm going to do? We want to break it down very specifically because we know Stewie's going to want to look at that, pick it up and work, right? Helps you stay focused. Again, if I'm Fantasia Flow, I know that while I want my priorities and tasks to be organized, I don't want it to be so structured that I'm going to frustrate myself, right? I know that I work with energy if I'm Fantasia. I know I work with what's going on and with the day, right? I know I use systems like now, next, after. I'm not going to timestamp something, but instead I'm going to have a list that says, these are my now priorities, my next priorities, my after priorities. So Fantasia can go to that list and identify what I want. And with Lulu, it's important to say, what is the element that's important for you? Where do you need structure? Where do you need flow? Lulu, how can you identify, assign, and pick up your tasks and your priorities? So it's again beginning to look at what are the processes I need to complete, and how do I connect the processes to my preferences? How do I connect them to the capes I wear for different situations? When it comes to mindset, again, it's important to say, wear your cape intentionally in each situation. If I'm Stewie structure, I recognize the situations when I need to have control. I know that structure and organization helps me organize. It helps me to thrive. I know that it helps me stay focused, productive. And I know if I've got my day organized, I can get through it faster if I'm Stewie. That's the mindset I need to remember and be okay with. Stewie, that's fine. There's no judgment. Productivity is the one place you get to be 100% selfish. When it comes to mindset, if I'm Fantasia, again, I need to give myself permission, acknowledge that in order for me to be productive, I like to have things organized. I also like to be able to have an element of flow. I like to be able to go with energy, what's going on right now. I don't want to be told what to do, when to do it. Those things are important. And then if I'm embracing my mindset as Lulu, bit of both, I realize that I need to be intentional to say what works in this situation, what works right now. When it comes to building and creating our systems, it is so important to choose what works for you. We have so many options. Welcome to 2025 world. There are so many tools and options that are available for us. It's good and can be overwhelming. So it's important to identify so we're aligned. Our systems are in alignment with what we like and how we like to operate. If we can align our systems so that they match our superhero powers of productivity, and we can use the capes that we wear to get more done, I mean, how will that improve your relationship with productivity? Why do we want to be so intentional with our system? Because when our systems fit our style, it's going to help us to work moving forward, right? It's that humming, that flowing. It's that that we want when it comes to productivity. We have a lot of work that we have to do. We have to use our brains for a lot of things when we think about it. Fill in the blank. My job or projects are whatever that work that you're doing, project management, operations productivity partner. Whatever that is for each person, we all have things we need to do with that. So let our systems work for us so we can spend our time focusing on what we do best. So we're living our best lives and being our best selves. Because I'll tell you, I like it when I know I've finished a client call, and I like it when I've given a suggestion or we've come up with the tool that works for them. I like it. Don't you like that? Your productivity systems are going to help you get there. Personalize your systems to be fierce, to use the right tools that are for you. That is one thing I hope that, as we've talked about productivity preferences, that you are embracing. Know yourself, know your tools, personalize your productivity. Understanding your productivity style and how you operate in different situations. Stay fierce to customize tools to match your preference, visual, and function. On week 3, the last episode, we looked at some specific tools, and I showed you how I use them and how clients have. We looked at a Kanban flow board, and we looked at Monday. Again, customize your tools. Use what works for you and keep refining for efficiency, and then make it enjoyable. Why we want to focus so much energy on our productivity is because we want to keep it inspiring. We know that there's a lot. We have more to do every day than we have hours in the day, right? If we were to look at tasks we could complete each day and the number of hours, we know we have more tasks than hours. And that can cause stress and friction. And we want to reduce it. How can we do that? By getting to know our productivity preferences and implementing those systems, habits, process, and mindset in the actions and projects you're taking. So how do you do that? What is my challenge to you? Now that we have spent 4 weeks talking about productivity preferences a lot, again, the goal was to go through as many examples to share with you so you can start to say, hey, we all have different areas where we've got productivity preferences. Let's be intentional in all of those areas. So here are the 5 things, my request of you, your next mission of how to take action and make sure your productivity preferences work for you. So 1, identify who is your superhero. Are you Stewie Structure, Fantasia Flow, or a little bit of both? Identify your superhero. Supercharge your systems. 2, supercharge your systems. Look at your systems and say, are my systems working for you? Do I need to change them? Do I need to empower them? Do I need to connect my systems to my superpower, to my superhero? 3, wear your cape right. Identify the productivity situationships. Say that 10 times real quick, right? Identify your productivity situationships and the cape that you need to wear for both, because life isn't completely a straight line. And we know that while we might have productivity preferences, Fantasia, we know there are times when organizing our Google Drives where we're Stewie Structure. I want a naming scheme. There's things we want. 4, build your personalized power-ups. What changes will you make to your systems, processes, habits, and mindset? What changes will you update that work for you? What are the power-ups? I love this not just because when I think of superheroes and power-ups, I think of Powerpuff Girls, which is good. Also, I think of Trello and how the idea in Trello is that different things that you're adding to your processes are powering up. So we're going to borrow from Trello right now and say, how can you power up your productivity systems? And then the 5th step, time to launch. What's the first step you'll take, right? What's the first thing you're going to turn into for your superhero? How are you going to take what you've learned about your productivity preferences and improve your productivity habits, systems, processes, and mindset? As every week, my goal for you is that you learn at least one takeaway actionable task that you can implement into your productivity life. Now, we know I just gave you 5 steps that go from identifying your superhero to what are you going to do to launch. But I really want you to, again, think about today we've looked at understanding your superhero and superpowers, understanding your superhero habits, processes, tools, and mindset. and then taking time to think, we've spent some really good information and learned something. How can I make my productivity life better? Because that's what it's all about. I want to thank you for joining me this week. I want to thank you for being here as we have spent the last 4 weeks again talking about productivity preferences. I'm going to say this one more time. It is imperative that you are intentional to identify how can you set up your productivity to help you? How can you set it up so that it is your superpower and you're able to be the superhero and get everything that you are done? Thank you for joining me. As always, I want to thank you for being intentional with your productivity. I want to thank you for taking time to say, how can I work harder? No, how can I work smarter, not harder? I want to thank you for being here. I am here every Thursday at 2 p.m. You can find me here on USA Global TV and Radio, our YouTube channel. Please remember to like, subscribe, and be notified when new episodes are dropped. This is going to be a fun, I am excited, and I truly do hope that you take some time and begin to look at your productivity superhero. I would love to learn what superhero you are. As I've shared, I'm Fantasia Flo. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. I will see you next Thursday. We're going to talk about something fun. Our next episodes are productivity and you, and there might be something about you in that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your productivity dedication. And as always, our goal is that you work smarter, not harder, so you can enjoy the life you've worked so hard to embrace. Now, a word from our sponsors.
From the magical world of the amazing adventures of Lady Ella comes a heartwarming new journey filled with kindness, courage, and compassion. Lady Ella, the beloved ladybug and listening mentor, is back, and this time she is not alone. Meet her brave and thoughtful brother, Lord Jack. Together, they take flight on their very first kindness adventure. Along the way, they meet 3 new friends in need: a duck feeling discouraged, a mouse struggling to be understood, and a busy little bee who's completely lost. But with the power of elevated listening and simple acts of kindness, Lady Ella and Lord Jack show us how understanding and empathy can make the biggest difference in someone's day. Written by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the listening mentor. This 9th book in the best-selling Lady Ella series teaches children ages 5 to 10 the essential skills of listening, kindness, and etiquette. Now available for pre-order on Amazon. Scan the QR code and order your copy today.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.